Good afternoon. It's 11:30. We're gonna get started with, this is a permit review committee of the Chicago Commission on Chicago Landmarks. This is their regular meeting. Today is Thursday, July the 1st, 2021. And I would like to call this meeting to order. I'm gonna do a roll call of commissioners. Please, commissioners, after you hear your name, please reply here or present, and please confirm that you can see me and hear me. Commissioner Jakovic.
Here, and I can see and hear you.
Commissioner Hughes. We'll give a moment. I'll come back to Commissioner Hughes. Commissioner Osmond.
Here, I can see and hear you.
Commissioner Ponce.
Here, I can see and hear you.
Thank you. Circling back, Commissioner Hughes. All right, we'll come back and let the record know when Commissioner Hughes joins us. So let's get started. Commissioner Hughes, please, we just completed the roll call.
Yes, sorry. Thank you,
Okay.
Chair.
I'll let the record show Commissioner Hughes has joined the meeting. Okay, well, initiated last year and extended to June 25th of 2021, Governor Pritzker signed the Public Act 1010640, making certain amendments to the Open Meetings Act so that we, along with other boards and commissions, can continue to host virtual meetings during this COVID-19 public health emergency, provided that certain conditions are met. One of those conditions is that Chairman Wong, as head of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks, determined that an in-person meeting of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks and its permit review committee are not practical or prudent. I want to make sure our virtual meetings meet all the conditions of the Open Meetings Act as amended. Therefore, Chairman Wong has made a determination pursuant to Section 7E2 of the Open Meetings Act that in-person meetings of this permit review committee is not practical or prudent. Similarly, he has also made a determination pursuant to Section 7E5 that because of the disaster as declared by the governor, it is unfeasible for at least one member of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks or its chief administrative officer or its chief legal officer to be physically present at the meeting place for either meeting, inasmuch there's no physical meeting place. Pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Chicago Commission on Chicago Landmarks on June 4th of 2020 regarding the chairman's emergency rulemaking powers, Chairman Wong issued emergency rules governing the conduct remote of public commission meetings and provisions for remote public participation effective January 19 of 2021. These rules were posted on the commission's website. In line with this emergency rules, today's regular permit review committee meeting is a virtual meeting being simulcast to the general public via live streaming. Permit review committee meetings have been held. Meetings are structured to minimize the chances for technical difficulties. Members of the general public have been encouraged to submit written statements in advance of the meeting, and any received have been posted on the commission's website and are available for public view during the virtual meeting at www.chicago.gov/ccl. Members of the public desiring to speak at today's meeting were required to register before the meeting, and verbal statements by the public for all agenda items will take place at the beginning of the meeting. Applicants and their representatives, as well as aldermen, were asked to contact staff if they desire to speak, and they will be able to do so after the staff presentation on a specific project. No one has registered to speak on any of the agenda items, so we will now go through the agenda. So the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of previous meeting, a regular meeting that was held on June 3rd of 2021. Commissioners, as a reminder, when you wish to speak, make a motion or second motion, please press the raise hand function on the panelist window on the right side of your screen, and I will call upon you. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 3rd meeting?
So approved, Commissioner Osmann.
Thank you, Commissioner Osmann. Has
Seconded.
made the motion. Who was that? Sorry, is that Commissioner Hughes?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes has seconded the motion. Now I would like to take a vote on the motion, and I will do a roll call vote. Commissioner Jakovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Ponce.
Yes.
I also say yes, so the motion carries unanimously, and the minutes will be posted on the Commission's website. Thank you, everyone. And now we are going to move forward to our item number 1 in the agenda, the 917 West Wilton Market. I would like to call Larry Short for the presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Chairman. 917 Wilton Market. I think I got the address wrong on this first slide, which is not a good sign. The subject property includes most of the block bounded by Lake Peoria, Fulton Market, and Sangamon. An existing 6-story historic building at the northwest corner of Lake and Peoria is proposed to be connected and incorporated into the current submittal. The applicant proposes to construct an 11-story masonry, metal, and glass building with a height of 153 feet and 4 inches, with additional mechanical enclosures and elevator overruns. This proposal requires a rezoning and is a planned development scheduled to be considered by the Plan Commission in July. The applicants have presented their plans to the aldermen and various community groups in the West Loop area. Letters of support were received from the West Central Association and Alderman Burnett. Those came in after the current packet was posted, but they are available for viewing on the Commission website. So the historic 6-story Davis and Rankin building at 900 West Lake is proposed to be incorporated into this development. While no changes are proposed for the primary south and east elevations, the applicant intends to connect this building to the new development through an atrium on the west elevation. The upper floors of the building are proposed to be connected through a series of sky bridges. Where connections are proposed, the existing window openings will be extended downward, while the current window heights and widths will be maintained. Because these modifications are on a secondary elevation, maintain much of the original window openings and proportions, and will only be visible from within the atrium, staff recommends approval. The roughly rectangular footprint of the proposed new construction is approximately 335 feet along Sangamon, 150 feet along Fulton Market, and 125 feet along Lake. The first 4 floors of the building extend all the way to the property line, maintaining the historic street wall found within the district. The heights of the lower 6 floors respond to the historic floor heights found within the district by stepping up and down in height, and the applicant has provided exhibits to better clarify how these heights relate to the adjacent historic buildings and infill construction. The applicant has provided exhibits to illustrate some historic examples within the district which utilize changes in height on the primary elevations, and staff supports the proposed configuration. The upper floors, which are more contemporary in design, are set back from the property lines approximately 28 feet from the north elevation. The setback exceeds the recommended setback of 20 feet in the Fulton Randolph Market Historic Design Guidelines. The setback from the west elevation is 14 feet, which is 1 foot less than the recommended 15-foot setback. The south elevation is approximately 28 feet from Lake Street, and that also exceeds the recommended setback of 15 feet. These setbacks are maintained until the 10th floor, which is 139 feet above grade. The 11th floor is set back approximately 52 feet from the north property line, 29 feet from the west, and 52 feet from the south. The height of the 11th floor is 153 feet and 4 inches. Additional mechanical and elevator overrides are located above. In June of 2019, the committee approved a 12-story new construction building at 1043 West Fulton Market. The design incorporated a masonry structure approximately 91 feet in height and a taller inset tower with a height of 138 feet 4 inches. This building filled an entire block and did not abut any historic buildings. The proposed 11th floor for this project creates a maximum height of 153 feet and 4 inches, which exceeds the previously approved maximum height at 1043 Fulton Market by about 15 feet. Although this is a substantial increase in height, the size of the current site is more than 3 times larger than the site for 1043. In order to address staff concerns about the visibility of the 11th floor, the applicant provided renderings from a number of vantage points within the district. Although not visible from directly in front of the building on Fulton Market, the 11th floor will be visible from areas further east on Fulton Market, south on Randolph, and north on Sangamon. However, given the scale of the building, the overall design, the varying setbacks of the floors which break up the mass of the building and respond to the adjacent historic structures, staff recommends that the additional height will not adversely impact the historic characteristics of the district and that it be approved as proposed. The applicant proposes a design which is informed by the historic modules and proportions found within the district. It incorporates primary and secondary vertical piers and inset spandrels. The upper floors have a more regular vertical pier width, contain large windows with a central dividing mullion and horizontal metal spandrels. The lower floors step up and down, which allow for the incorporation of outdoor terrace areas. The applicant has designed safety walls to eliminate the need for an open metal railings, maintaining the solid appearance of the facade. Like previous proposals in the district, the applicant proposes brick cladding in varying patterns and orientations for the lower floors. The upper floors, which are substantially inset, are proposed to be clad with metal compatible with the color of the dark brown brick below. The overall module and bay configurations are similar on the upper and lower floors, creating a unified appearance. The proposed storefronts incorporate 4-foot wide glass panels above a solid bulkhead panel at grade and are compatible with the district design guidelines. All storefronts are shown with a dark brown finish to match the metal cladding used throughout the building. There are 2 storefront bays along Sangamon which provide access to parking areas with roll-up doors. The design of these bays is similar to the primary storefronts, but incorporates spandrel glass in a gridded design required for operability. Because these are service areas, staff supports the use of spandrel glass on the primary elevation. Primary entrances to the building incorporate a gridded pattern created by vertical and horizontal mullions and utilize a design which slopes upward to a central point. Staff recommends that these are compatible for infill construction. The applicant proposes several metal and glass canopies, 1 on Fulton Market and 3 on Sangamon. These canopies span 2 storefront bays and are steel channels with etched glass roofs supported by diagonal metal struts. Because canopies historically provided protection for loading and unloading wholesale goods in the district, staff recommends approval of these new canopies as proposed. Here are a couple of elevations just to give you an overall sense of the building. And this is, of course, along Fulton Market, showing the step up and down of those lower floors, the inset 11th floor, and the mechanical enclosures above it. And then this is the Sangamon elevation, again, showing the lower brick floors and the metal clad floors above that. And finally, here's some sections and elevations of the east elevation. On the lower left on the upper image is the historic building to be incorporated into the project. And the bottom below that is a section. So we are recommending approval with a number of conditions. 1, that the quality of materials and design details as approved are important features in meeting the Commission's guidelines, and any significant changes to the approved design would require further review by the Permit Review Committee. 2, that the permit drawings shall include dimension details for all windows and storefronts, as well as brick patterns and mullion details. 3, historic preservation staff shall view for approval all material samples prior to permit application. And 4, that any signage, including any exterior lighting, shall be permitted separately and reviewed and approved by historic preservation staff prior to order and installation. So that pretty much concludes my presentation. If there are any questions on that. Otherwise, I know that the development team is also at the meeting and they can also answer questions.
Thank you, Larry. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Larry at this moment? And let me make sure I can see you.
I have a question.
Oh, thank you. Commissioner Jakovich.
Hey, hi, Larry. Thank you. Just curious if there was any. Well, first, just to clarify, is this a abutting adjacent building? That's one question. And a historic building abutting. Is this abutting a historic building? And also, was there any additional color explorations or for the building? And those are my questions. Thanks.
So the project does abut the 900 West Lake, the Davis and Rankin building, which I think is an 1886 building. Let's see, I think there are probably some perspective renderings that show that a little bit more clearly. Let's see. So it does attach to the secondary elevation, which is the east elevation of that building. And that's where that sort of open atrium with the sky bridges kind of attaches through. Yeah, okay, this is pretty good. So this is the elevation along Lake Street, and this is that the historic building. And so the height of the lower floors of the adjacent building are actually aligned with that, which actually is the tallest historic building in the district. As far as color goes, initial proposal, I believe, was for really for a black brick. And although there have been a number of new buildings in the area that incorporated black brick, we really didn't have much in the way of historic buildings that utilize black brick, probably because it really wasn't available. So the applicants were able to modify their proposed brick color to a dark brown, and there's some examples of that dark brown brick being used on some historic buildings in this center exhibit to the left in this particular slide. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, just one follow-up on that maybe to the architect or to Larry too. You know, with building the historic building, whether there could be some acknowledgement what's happening on the inside with the atrium, because it's not apparent on the outside, and you know, potentially also creating a softer connection to the historic structure. You know, we see that a lot. Maybe there's a glass element that kind of opens it up and softens that connection between the new building and the old. So I'll just leave that to
I believe there is a slight setback between the historic building and the new building, and I think that the applicant's architects can address that better than I can.
Yeah, hi, this is Lucas Facade with Mooreside Architects. I'm the architect on the project. Thanks for your time. I was having a hard time hearing the question. I don't know if you could repeat it. There's some.
There is an echo background on everyone.
Would you mind repeating the question, please?
Sure. Yeah, I was looking at, you know, the connection in between the historic building and the new building, and you know, you have this incredible atrium space that you're proposing on the inside, and you know, I don't see any reference to that on the outside, and I'm just wondering, you know, that could be a moment to sort of soften that, you know, the connection between those two buildings from the outside and express what's happening on the inside. And I'm just wondering if, you know, why, or, you know, if that was considered. And we see that a lot, you know, in other projects. So curious about that decision.
Can I put a pause for a moment? Commissioners, do you have any more questions for Larry at this moment before we pass with the applicant? Just want to make sure we cover all those, if that's okay. I don't see anyone raising their hand, so there's no more questions to the staff, and we're going to shift into hearing from the applicant and their representatives.
You know what? I'm going to say one more thing to address that
Larry.
question. Sorry, the initial submittal actually had a curtain wall covering that bay, the entire length of that. And it was much more than a simple break between the two buildings. It was actually a very strong design element. And the applicants actually modified their design to eliminate that element because we had some concerns about how that would fit into the overall design context of the district. That being said, I will shut up and let the applicants address your questions.
We appreciate always your insights and clarifications, Larry. Can we hear from the applicant's party at this moment, please? Either project attorney, Chris Leach, or any of the architects?
Yeah, certainly, and I can address that again. And Larry, I just want to thank you too, because I think you did a great job representing the design and the design intent and the process that we went through, working hand in hand with everyone on your team and at the city, which I think we ended somewhere really, really good from a design point of view. Specifically,
can I pause you for a moment? Would you mind introducing yourself again? I know you did, just for the record, your name and your company, please.
No problem. My name is Lucas Facade. I'm a director with Morris Acme Architects in New York, New York.
Thank you. Please continue.
Yeah, Commissioner Ignacio, during some of the earlier schemes that we had really articulated and made it a major design move to have the emphasis between the new construction and the historic building. And we wanted to celebrate that. And we actually had a connection. Atrium was much more articulated and was a connection that went all the way from the southern end at Lake Street to the south, all the way to West Fulton Market at the north. We got some feedback, and I think responded to that by sort of analyzing whether or not that was the most congruous move to the historic context of the district. And I think at the end of the day, we felt we agreed with Landmarks Commission that it was more of an appropriate response in this type of urban historic context to have two buildings just right next to each other and sort of share that party condition. So we felt that that was appropriate, and we felt that there were other elements in the design that were kind of creating a strong identity, specifically the step down at the corner. So that's why we sort of ended with that ultimate design.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Mr. Posadas. Commissioner Jakovich, do you have a follow-up on that?
I appreciate the context, and not having seen any of the past, I guess I can't really comment on that, but no, I appreciate the context. Thank you.
Mr. Leach, do you want to make a statement or have any contributions?
I just want to thank Larry for his wonderful presentation of this building that we're very excited about. Like Lucas had mentioned, we believe that we landed we've had many meetings with Larry and the Department of Planning and Development responding to their comments. This building went through about 3 iterations, I believe. And we believe that with Landmarks that we've landed at a building that really fits within in the context of the district, and that we're all very excited about. And so I want to thank Larry and the department for all their hard work. And we stand ready and thank you, the commissioners, for your time today to hear us talk about our building and our proposal. And we stand ready to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. We're always excited to review projects of this scale and level of investment. So we appreciate all the work and the willingness to work with the staff. There has been significant work a couple of times into the iteration of the design. So we also appreciate that. Commissioners, do you have any additional questions for either the project attorney or the applicant or their representatives? I see Commissioner Hughes.
Hi. There was one particular feature on this property that stood out. We get a lot of these properties each meeting, and you guys did something with your entrances at the base of creating this newly formed archway. Can you speak a little bit to the decision behind that and the design. It's really intriguing.
Sure. Lucas, could you address that, please?
Yeah, I'm happy to, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner Hughes, thank you for that, for noticing that. And you know, when we were looking at the entrances, we have several office entrances. So we have 3, 1 on each street, and then we have several retail entrances. So we're looking to do something that was a sort of slight and kind of playful move that would still be contextual and still be appropriate for the district, but that was differentiated and that was slightly different from the retail entrances. So that loading bay, deep, long canopy was something that we felt was really consistent with these industrial meatpacking neighborhoods that you see. And so we felt that that was an appropriate response for the retail entrances. So we just wanted to do something that was a little bit kind of playful. And so when there was an original scheme that I described before that had like a full 4-story atrium that was really articulating that internal atrium space, and that was articulated on either side. So that's a little bit of a reference to that move that just helped create a focal point for those and draw attention to those office entrances.
Yeah, like I said, I appreciate the move. We see a lot of these, and they get to become blurred and all start to look alike. So it's little details like that I think myself and some of my colleagues here appreciate. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioners, any additional questions? I don't
Yes,
see.
I have one.
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner Ponce.
I have one. Yes, I was curious if you can talk a little bit about the atrium and how it connects at the top level. At the roof.
Yeah, happy to do that. So what started out as an atrium that was really bridging between the two is really kind of more of a skylight piece now. So that's how we imagine that happening. So we'd probably have the parapet return. So it'd be a roof to roof type of condition. And then the skylight would be separated from that. I don't know if, Larry, if you're able to pull up that presentation, I'm happy to share my screen. I don't know if I have the ability to do that. But that's how we're envisioning that right now, so that it can kind of stand apart from the historic building and just be its own system. Yeah, and there was a roof plan. Yeah, right there. So you can see there's a little bit of a separation. So we'd probably detail that so it's more of a standalone skylight, but it would be significant enough that it would really feel like an atrium within that space. I don't know if that addresses your question.
Yeah, I was just flipping through the drawings here, and particularly I was curious about the detailing behind that.
You know, if you go to the last slide, it has a detail of the section.
Yeah, so as you see if you look at the bottom left image, that's like a long longitudinal section through that entire atrium. So you can see that at the ground floor, you can actually connect from Lake Street, which is at the left of the image, to Fulton Market, which is at the right of the image. And so there would be, at the north end of the site, office floors would continue across, but basically on the left side of the image, where the new building is adjacent to the historic 900 Lake building, that would be open. It would just be the bridges that are connecting, and then the roof would come across at the very top. So that would be kind of the open space, but it wouldn't be contiguous all the way to Lake Street. It would just be focused in on the area adjacent to the historic structure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ponce. Commissioners, any additional questions? I don't see, hold on, no, I don't see any hands. Well, if there's no further discussion, I'd like to request a motion to adopt the staff recommendations for the project. May I request a motion?
I will move Commissioner Osmann, adoption of the project.
Thank you. Commissioner Osmann has made a motion. Can I have a second motion? Okay.
Second, Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes has seconded the motion. Now I'm gonna take a vote on the motion and I will do a roll call. Commissioner Jakovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Ponce.
Yes.
I also vote yes. So the motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much to the team presenting today, Mr. Leach, Mr. Posada. Good luck with the project. It seems you still have a couple of more steps before building permits, so good luck
Yeah.
with that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so before we move on, I need to recuse myself for this next agenda item only. And Commissioner Jakovich will take over for me and chair the meeting for this next item. Thank you so much, Commissioner Jakovich.
Thank you, Chairperson Aguirre. So we will move on to item number 2. Item number 2 is the property located at 605 East 111th Street in the 9th Ward in the Pullman District. And we are going to look at the proposed new ADA accessible ramp and deck and rear yard of a corner property. And I would like to call on Joyce Ramos for the presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner. This property is located on the corner of 111th Street and St. Lawrence Avenue with a 2.5-story masonry building located on the site. The building was originally built as a single-family residence and was later converted to a private club for Pullman executives. Most recently, the building has been used as a restaurant. The applicants contacted historic preservation staff in May of 2021 to review their proposal to add an ADA accessible ramp, deck, and restoration of the front porch. The property is located on a 54-foot wide and 150-foot deep corner lot. The proposed scope of work will include an interior renovation for a new coffee shop and washrooms, and exterior improvements to include the restoration of the front porch shown in blue, an ADA accessible ramp shown in yellow, and a new deck shown in purple in the rear yard. These improvements will provide a key space to host visitors between visits to the Pullman National Monument and the tours by the Pullman House Project. The historic front porch located on the north elevation facing 111th Street is currently enclosed and clad with wood boards. The applicants are proposing to restore the porch based on historic photographs and general historic characteristics as evidenced on the building. The roof will be clad with asphalt shingles. The rafter tails will be replaced to match the profile for the existing rafter tails on the balcony above the porch. New steel columns faced with wood trim milled to match the profile of the columns on the balcony above will be installed. A new railing with balusters will be installed to match the height, spacing, and detail shown in the historic photograph provided by the property owner. In order to increase the height of the top rail to meet code, the applicant is proposing to install an additional metal guardrail on top of the wood top rail, and staff recommends approval of the porch as proposed. A new raised wood deck is proposed to be constructed off the rear elevation to provide outdoor seating for the new coffee shop. A solid wood fence with an integral core 10 planter will enclose the deck on the north, east, and south elevations. Given that the proposed raised deck is significantly set back from the front facade and is sympathetic in its design and details, as well as not negatively impacting historic characteristics of the building or district, staff recommends approval of the deck as proposed. The landscape will be modified to provide accessible access to the building. A concrete ramp with handrails is proposed to start at the sidewalk and will connect to a wood ramp, which eventually leads up to the front porch and deck. A solid wood fence constructed with approximately the same design and proportions as shown in the historic photograph provided by the applicant is proposed to be installed to obscure the wood ramp from view, as well as to recreate a historic feature that was previously on the property. The committee has approved a number of modifications to landmark buildings intended to address accessibility requirements. The commission reviews the location, size, and design of these proposals to confirm that such modifications are compatible with the landmark building and do not damage or obscure significant historic features. Staff recommends that the accessible ramp and solid wood fence does not negatively impact the historic characteristics of the building or district and recommends approval as proposed. Okay, and finally, staff recommends approval of the overall project as proposed. The Alderman, the Beaman Committee of the Pullman Civic Organization, and the National Park Service have reviewed the project and have all submitted letters of support, which were included in your packets. This concludes my presentation. The architect and the property owners are here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Do the commissioners have any questions for Joyce, the staff? I don't see any hands. Okay. Can we hear from the applicant and the representatives? Is that the architect as well here?
Yes, this is Craig Rushke, the architect. I believe the owners are on as well. Thank you, Joyce, for the presentation. And I'm happy to answer any questions that come up.
We hear from the property owner and tell us a little bit about this project.
Yes, this is Pat Szymanski, along with my husband, Michael. We own the property. It's currently, the plan is that the property will be developed with the coffee shop and accessible ramp to access the back to the deck and to the front veranda porch. The most impactful part of the project, of course, is the restoration of the veranda and the historic fence details, which will bring the property back into compliance with what the original plan for the building was, intending to complement the project that's going on across 111th Street, which is the restoration of the Pullman factory site for the Pullman National Monument. The historic workers gate is directly across the street from this property. So there's a good alignment, and it's be complemented over the next year and a half by CDOT has a 111th Street restoration and re-landscaping plan that's underway, and they expect construction to begin in the spring. So these will all tie together in a nice package to complement the 111th Street improvements.
Great. Thank you for that background and letting us know about the other exciting projects that are complementing potentially this one. Do the commissioners have any questions for the applicant? I see Commissioner Osmond.
I have a comment, and I've known Mike and Pat for 25 years, and I have watched them just kind of be the pioneers of Pullman in the work they have put on and the patience and pushing to make that Pullman the site that it is today. So congratulations for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. And I see Commissioner Hughes.
Yeah, our Zoom is restricted. I was trying to find the clap emoji, but I just want to second Commissioner Osmond's comments. This looks like it's going to be a great project, and really, really excited that you guys were super intentful about the original heritage and restoring that with the design that you're proposing. So thank you. It's always a joy when we get projects like this in front of our commission. Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Any other questions from commissioners? Discussion points? Seeing none, I just would just like to echo Commissioner Osmond, Commissioner Hughes. Thank you for your dedication to the Pullman District, and this is really exciting. And we look forward to, well, after we vote, we'll look forward to the changes ahead. No further discussion. Does anyone have? Does the commissioners have a motion for this item to accept the staff recommendation?
So move, Commissioner Ponce.
Commissioner Ponce, thank you. Do we have a second?
Seconded, Commissioner Hughes.
Seconded by Commissioner Hughes. And we'll do the roll call. Commissioner Osmond.
Yes.
And I believe that is it. And I'm Commissioner Jakiewicz, and I'm voting yes as well. And the motion passes unanimously. Thank you all. Thank you for this great project. Very nice work by the architect as well, I'd like to say.
We think so too.
Thank you so much.
And Commissioner Aguirre, or Chairperson Aguirre.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Commissioner Jakiewicz. We're moving into our agenda item number 3, which is the 1048 North Honore Street in East Village District, which is a proposed new raised 3-story 2-unit masonry building with a roof deck and detached garage. I would like to call Joyce Ramos for the presentation.
Thank you, Chairwoman Aguirre. The subject property is currently a vacant lot located mid-block on Honore Street, just south of Thomas Street. Historic preservation staff received the original design submittal in June of 2020, as you can see on the front elevation on the upper right. During this time, staff has worked with the engineer to improve the design to ensure that the new building is compatible with and complements the existing significant historical and architectural features and qualities of the East Village District. The proposed new construction project is a 3-story brick building, 40 foot 6 inches in height, with a raised entrance and a stair enclosure that leads up to the roof deck. The building is 20 feet in width and 2 foot 6 inches with side yard setbacks on the north and south. The front side yard setback is 9 foot 4 inches and is in keeping with the front setbacks on the west side of Honore Street. The detached 3-car garage with a roof deck is proposed to be located at the rear of the property with alley access and to be clad in fiber cement siding. Predominant historic characteristics in the district include masonry buildings with tall double-hung windows trimmed with stone window hoods. The applicant has proposed a standard size face brick in various shades of red for the front facade and wraps 6 foot 5 inches on both side facades. The remainder of the side facades, as well as the rear facade, stair enclosure, and garage, is proposed to be clad in fiber cement siding with a faux wood grade finish in a light tan color. Due to the height of the building and visibility of the side elevation, staff recommends that the color of the fiber cement siding shall match the color of the brick with a smooth finish and a 4-inch lap exposure. Since the proposed new building is taller than the buildings immediately adjacent to it and the side elevations will be visible, staff recommends to increase the length of the brick wrap on the side elevations to a minimum of 20 feet. The front facade will have a 2 foot tall ornamental stone coping and a stone water table. The windows are proposed to be solid wood, 1/1 double hung windows with stone hoods. The historic proportions and massings are in keeping with the current proposals. Staff recommends removing the stone window hoods on the basement windows in order to provide a visual gap between the top of the windows and the bottom of the water table. Typical historic doors in the district include double doors as well as doors with side lights and transom windows. The proposed front entrance is recessed and consists of a single door with side lights and also features a generously wide front stair. The stairs are proposed to be constructed out of concrete with concrete wing walls. Concrete is not an appropriate material to use at the wing walls and is not characteristic of the district. In order to be compatible with the historic characteristics of the district, staff recommends that the front stairs shall have open metal railings with newel posts that are substantially larger than the balusters and located at the top and base of the stair with no solid wing walls of any height. Staff also recommends that the concrete at the front stairs shall be integrally colored to match the color of the limestone trim to be more compatible with the historic stone stairs in the district. The building has a flat roof with a roof deck. A stair enclosure to be clad in fiber cement siding is proposed to provide access to the roof deck. Historic preservation guidelines allow visible rooftop enclosures when they provide access only rather than usable space. Beyond accommodating a 3 foot 8 wide stair, the enclosure provides an additional 7 foot 8 in width to include a furnace and hot water heater closet. Since the stair enclosure is set back 31 feet from the front of the building, it will be minimally visible. So again, the proposed building is a 3-story masonry building, 40 foot 6 inches tall with a stoop height of 6 foot 6 inches, which is taller than the other buildings on the block. In order to provide more historic context, staff had suggested that the applicant consider the building heights on other streets to demonstrate that there are historic buildings comparable with the proposed overall building height that exist in the wider context of the district. In response to staff's suggestion, the applicant provided a streetscape elevation and photo montage of the buildings on the west side of Honorary Street shown on this slide, as well as identifying 1115 North Winchester, a raised 3-story masonry building, which is 40 foot 9 inches in height, and 1025 North Honorary, a raised 3-story building, which is 42 foot 11 inches in height, located on the same block as the subject property, but is not within the East Village District. Staff was able to locate other buildings on Winchester that range between 40 feet to 42 feet in height. And while the proposed height of 40 foot 6 inches is taller than the immediately adjacent buildings on Honorary Street, there is a precedence for taller historic buildings in the wider context of the district. So this is just going back to the streetscape elevation that we previously just saw on Honorary Street. The stoop heights range from 1 foot 4 inches to 3 foot 11 inches. The applicant has proposed a stoop height of approximately 6 foot 6 inches, which is significantly higher than the adjacent buildings on Honorary Street. Additionally, the taller buildings staff on Winchester Street have an approximate stoop height of 4 foot 1 inches. Staff recommends that the proposed stoop height be lowered to 4 feet to be in keeping with the adjacent buildings on Honorary Street and with the other buildings within the district comparable in overall height. Consequently, if the stoop height is reduced, the overall height of the building will also be reduced and will be more compatible with the other building heights in its immediate context. Staff recommends approval of the project with the conditions mentioned during the presentation and also summarized here on this slide. Alderman Brian Hopkins and the East Village Association has received a copy of this most recent proposal for review, but have not provided any comments. This concludes my presentation. The structural engineer and the property owner are here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Joyce at this moment? And let me make sure okay. I don't see any hands, so I do have a question, Joyce. Can you talk about the side brick wrap requested, and that it's a standard, is that a standard treatment?
Yeah. So, first of all, the building height. So due to the building height, this further increases the visibility of the side elevations as it would rise above the immediately adjacent buildings. So typically staff would recommend like a 15 to 20 foot brick wrap. And while the face brick on historic buildings do only wrap around to the side elevation like a few inches, the remainder of the side elevations are clad in common brick. This applicant is proposing fiber cement siding, which is acceptable, but fiber cement siding is an inferior material, and it's not a material that was historically used in the district. So this is why the staff is recommending the brick wrap to be increased to a minimum of 20 feet in order to reduce the visibility and then also to minimize the difference in material.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any?
I
Sorry.
also have a question, and actually this is a good slide to refer to on the windows. Can you clarify, there were other drawings that showed proposed window sizes and scale. Can you clarify on how the proposed exhibits the general characteristics within the district?
The other buildings in the district that are kind of similar, like with brick buildings, they have like taller, like slimmer windows with, space in between windows. And so we felt, I don't know if you want to go back to the first slide. Like if you look at the March 2021 iteration of this submittal, the applicant had proposed like, smaller windows, which didn't look proportional to the building or proportional to the other windows in the district. And so we had worked together to find a proposal that would be more compatible with the district.
So this, from what we're seeing here, that's the proposed and the approved.
The one that we're seeing on the left that says June 2021 is what the applicant most recently submitted, and we're recommending approval for that size of the windows. And then the ones that are on the right side, we're just showing like the design evolution of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ponce. Commissioners, any questions for Joyce at the moment? Excuse me. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I think that, thank you for explaining the evolution. I think it's been a good one. So it's a good work back and forth with the applicant, and much better proportions now.
Thank you, Commissioner Jakovich. I think this is a great segue to hear from the applicant and the representatives. Can we please hear from the project? I think I heard engineer, Mr. Beckley. I don't think we can hear you. I might be incorrect, but I don't think there's any sound if you're speaking. Can anyone else hear him? No. Mr. Beckley, we cannot hear you.
Hey, let's see.
We can hear you now.
You can hear me now. Thank you. I just want to say good afternoon to the commission and to Joyce Ramos for working with me diligently to arrive at a very good solution. Out of all the requests that she gave us, number one, the review comment number 1A, we just want to refer to CBC 10, the whole code now, CBC 10 13-160-05, and on the current code, CBC 2019, section 1006.3.3 for single exit requirement for below the grade plane something. If I reduce the height of the first level, I will not have the window height required by those sections, which is the minimum height of 3 feet, 0 inches. And also, if I have to accommodate that, I have to go lower the basement floor, and that will be giving me, if you can look at my cover sheet T-1.0, you will see that we have to have an excavation of 4.78 feet to the bottom of the footing, and our distance to the property line is 2.50 feet. If we're using a slope of 1 to 2, we can only go to a maximum of 5 feet, and otherwise we will be affecting the adjacent building foundation, which we don't want to do that. So these two requirements prohibited us from lowering the stoop height of the building. That's for review comment number 1. Review comment number 2. We are asking that they should allow us to make the foam brick wrap on the side elevation as designed for a length of 6 feet 4.58 inches on the side, which is incompatible with side elevation at 1025 and also 1032 North Honore Street. So we were instead of the 20 feet, we are proposing to have it 6 feet 458 inches. And also review comment number 3, we are proposing to change the red brick into brown or tarnish brown color instead of the red color as we have proposed before. The owner preferred, I'm not good at color, but the owner said that is incompatible with the adjacent building. Its color is brown or tarnished brown color. And also review comment number 4, we're also proposing that we should have the same brown tarnish color for the fiber cement siding so that everything will blend in. That's all our comment.
Thank you, Mr. Beckley. Joyce, would you mind addressing some of this comments and requests in context of your previous conversations and your recommendations, please? I know you're.
So let's see, going back to, I don't think there is a slide for this one, but for like the window heights in the basement. Let's see, just, I don't have the drawings here, but I believe that they're proposed right now to be 4 feet high. And that can still, and you said that it has to be 3 foot high in order to meet code. Is that correct, Mr. Beckley?
Actually, my staff did not update the window schedule. The actual we have right now, because I measured it on the AutoCAD, and the elevation is 3 feet 158 inches rough opening of the window right now. I just found out that they did not update the window schedule. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. But since staff is recommending to remove the stone hoods above the basement windows, there is still room to lower the stoop height there. So I still think there's room to lower the stoop height. And then as far as like reducing the overall building height, I think that there is room to reduce the floor to floor heights on each of the floors as well. Let's see.
Yeah, we excuse me, Mr. Beckley. We have a structural problem out there because the more we go down, the more we affect the adjacent building. They are very close to the property line, 2.5 feet.
If I understand correctly, if I may, Mr. Beckley, what Joyce is, and Joyce, please feel free to correct me. What you're suggesting is the independent floor height can be modified in order to accommodate the total height suggested. Is that a correct assumption? Not going into the basement excavation necessarily. Is that a correct assumption?
I just put up the building section here on the screen.
Thank you.
So, I mean, if it's completely not possible to excavate more than what you're proposing, I think that there is still an opportunity to reduce the floor to floor heights, which are approximately like 10'2", 10'3" inches for each floor. And I know that there is these 12-foot deep wood trusses, so that makes the floor to floor height like 9 feet, but still there are a couple inches that could be taken out of each floor in order to reduce the overall height.
Let me respond to that. I just want to open drawing. If you look at sheet A15, we are having 10 feet, story height is 10 feet. 138 story height. So if we have to accommodate,
It's a roof deck. So it has
we have to accommodate for the joists, 3/4 plywood, the joist depth, and also that will reduce the floor to floor height. We won't be able to meet the headroom out there, the ceiling height. We have to consider that too.
I'm sorry, Mr. Beckley. Is there a sheet in your drawing set that you wanted me to refer to?
15.0, the last page.
Can we just clarify one thing? What are we trying? How much are we trying to reduce the building height?
Okay.
Originally like 4 feet.
4 feet is impossible, because if you look at the story height, 10 feet, if I take 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot off, you know, and that is story height, and we have to account for 12 inches depth, 12 inches depth for the roof joists, floor joists. So my ceiling height will not be what is supposed to be per code.
You know, another suggestion, I know you have required window heights. You can also provide like window wells in order to have, I mean, they may go below grade, but you know, the window wells will still provide that access that's required. So I mean, that's also another option.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Mr. Beckley. May I invite other commissioners to weigh in on this aspect, either with questions or insights?
I think Commissioner Chairperson, I think it would be good to see the streetscape elevation again.
1 second.
To understand, you know, what we're trying to accomplish with the 4 feet.
So sorry. There we go. So here is the proposed new building, which is 40 foot 6 inches in height. And then the immediately adjacent buildings are 30 foot 6 inches and 31 foot 10 inches high.
Joyce, is there here a reference to, you know, I know you mentioned you showed before a comparative building in height, but is there a reference here about how much taller, what is the proportion that we're trying to preserve in relationship to the adjacent buildings? It's obviously, it stands out from the block, but
Yeah, so
yeah, go ahead.
You could definitely look at the wider context of the district. And so on this slide, the applicant had found at 1115 North Winchester, located within the district. And in this building, he had measured it to be 40 foot, like 9 inches high. So that's also a 3-story, well, this is a 3-story stone building. And the other building that he had found in the district that's also the other building that he found that was comparable in height, but is not within the East Village District, is located at 1025 North Honore. So on that same block, but just outside of the district. Staff did find other buildings on Winchester that are like 40 to 42 feet in height, which you can see here. So also like 3-story buildings.
Mr. Beckley, please. 1025 North Honore is part of the district. It's picked up from the list that was published on the Landmark website.
Staff checks the district ordinance, and that address is not included within the district.
Yeah, probably it's in the register of the other register.
And staff did not review this. I mean, it's a newer construction and we didn't approve this design or review it or approve it.
Okay. It sounds like the height, can you go back to the section, please? The slide on the section, Joyce? Sorry, that started that one. And that's previous one, yes. So sounds like the stoop.
You know, another thing, you can also take out like the height of the parapet. And I know the applicant is proposing for the entire roof to be a roof deck. You know, maybe if the front portion isn't, you know, a roof deck, we wouldn't have to have that parapet to be that required 3 foot 6 inches high.
Right, which they're probably required to have that to make that function possible, I assume. Mr. Beckwith, have you considered that? Just lowering the height of the parapet in order to at least accommodate some of the height recommendations?
I already looked at that. To lower the foundation, we are not talking about the height of the building, overall height of the building. If I do lower that parapet wall, I will be breaking the code to meet the minimum of 42 inches above our floor, deck floor. So right now it's at 42 inches, a little bit higher than 42 inches. So if I adjust that, I won't meet that safety code of 42 inches above deck floor.
Can we go to the elevation view, please? With the rest of the properties.
Sorry. There you go.
Is there a height ordinance in this particular historic district publication that says the building can't be above this particular height?
No, but we would just like to keep the building heights, you know, compatible with the other buildings within the district. So there, I mean, there is no set like number.
Mr. Beckley, the zoning code has have a height limit for top of roof deck. If you check the zoning code, I think it's about 30 feet. 30 feet or 40 feet. I don't remember right now. And also the building code also have 50 feet for the type of building we're building. Height that I remember. Zoning code also have one. I can tell you, let me check my code matrix. I can tell you.
Thank you, Mr. Beckley. So I would like to, we also understand that this district has different type of considerations. So we also want to put this ones forward. Obviously, they also need to be within code. So, you know, the staff has made recommendations and it's up to the commission to support them, accept them, or think through this discussion, what is the best course of action. So just want to put that in context for this decision-making process. It seems to me, this is what I'm gathering, and I'm assuming this drawing is reflecting the current height, the proposed height. That includes the 4 feet that the staff is recommending to reduce. Is that right, Joyce? This drawing is as the latest proposal.
This was included in his latest submittal.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. So from my perspective, I think it's still like compatible. I know the building, the first building that is outside the district has a height and it's outside the district, but it from my perspective, I think it still has some reasonable proportion and relationship to the buildings adjacent to them. In any case, what stands out to me is the access to the rooftop that makes it even more. It makes the building taller, but I'm assuming from the eye level view that's not necessarily perceivable. So if it's okay with commissioners, I would like to put a motion forward that the height of the building remains as proposed by the applicant. And this is just in regard to the first recommendation of the staff. So modifying one of the first recommendation from the staff.
Yes, I seconded that motion.
Are there any concerns, commissioners? I'm just assessing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this 1038 building, their height of their parapet is only 3 feet above that. Like, I mean, it's, I agree. I seconded your motion.
Okay, so thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Are there any concerns from the rest of the commissioners about this?
I will, Chairman Commissioner Jakevich, I would agree. But definitely, I do think that the brick return definitely needs to be maintained if you're going to allow the height.
I would support that.
Commissioner Ponce, I agree as well.
Thank you.
Commissioners, this is Deanna. If I could just clarify, if we could go to the slide with the conditions, just to make sure that we are recording this accurately. You are eliminating 1A.
Yes, ma'am.
You are keeping 1B as proposed, as staff condition states. What about 1C?
Basement. Oh, we haven't gotten there yet. We're discussing.
Just so you know, the stone hoods that I'm talking about
yes.
are just these here. And I'm just recommending to remove them just because they're just to provide like a visual gap between the top of the windows and the bottom of the water table, because there currently is none.
And the recommendation is to remove those.
To take them out, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Beckley,
We agree with that.
You agree with that one?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna thank you, Deanna, for bringing that up. So in regard to the staff recommendation number 1, we are removing 1A to allow the current proposed height of the building, and we are keeping recommendations 1B and C.
Okay. And then for number 2, for the open metal railings, Mr. Beckley, do you agree with that?
Yes, we agree in using steel rail post with Noel post larger than the railing. We agree on that.
Okay. Okay. And then number 3, we have we were approving actually the proposed red brick. So this is what the applicant had submitted to use for the front facade. They proposed to use a red brick with the fiber cement siding in the tan color. And so, Mr. Beckley, I'm sorry if I didn't show this before, but he is proposing to change those materials to this more of like a brown tannish color brick. And then also having the fiber cement siding to match this color. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So we understand this is the latest proposal from the applicant, and it's different from the one that is in the presentation. Is that correct?
That's correct,
okay.
Chairwoman. So, and staff is fine with this. So we would recommend approval for these materials. As long as the the fiber cement siding is, has that 4-inch lap exposure and has a smooth finish.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I'll go back to the slide with.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm sorry, going back.
No, it's
and
okay.
forth.
It's a lot
Okay.
of decisions
Okay.
here
Here we go
today.
here.
Okay. So it sounds like the last recommendation is about the concrete on the fence there. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, basically, I was just wanting to make sure that the concrete
Mhm.
wasn't going to come out to be like a very stark bright white, just to make sure that the color is, compatible with the limestone that's on the building.
We agree with number 5.
Okay. Thank you. So if I'm just going to recap from all the recommendations from the staff, we are all in agreement except for 1A. Is that correct? So
Yes.
Joyce and staff, please, if you can record that adjustment to the recommendations. And with that adjustment, are there any questions from commissioners to the staff, to Joyce, or to Mr. Beckley, now that we have done the thorough review of all the 5 recommendations for this project? No further questions?
No questions.
Wonderful. Thank you all. All right, if there's no further discussion, I would like to request a motion to adopt the staff recommendations with the mentioned adjustment for recommendation 1A, to remove recommendation 1A. And I would like to request a motion to approve this.
So moved, Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you. Commissioner Hughes has made a motion. Can I ask for a second motion?
Second, Commissioner Jakovich.
Thank you, Commissioner Jakovich. Now I'm going to take a roll call and the vote. Commissioner Osmond?
I approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Ponce?
Yes.
Myself, Commissioner Garrett also vote yes, and the motion carries unanimously. Mr. Beckley, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for working with the staff. Joyce, thank you so much for the presentation, and good luck with moving forward with your project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day. All right, we're gonna move into item number 4, 2118 in West Evergreen in the Wicker Park District. I'd like to call Emily Barden for the presentation.
Yes, hi, Commissioner. Thank you. Okay, next slide. So this proposal, the applicant is proposing to add a new shade structure to the existing roof deck of their property. The single-family house was constructed in 2017, and the design was reviewed and approved by the Permit Review Committee at that time. The building is 2 stories in height with a raised basement. The other thing to note is that there is currently a rooftop deck, which is accessed through a narrow stair enclosure on the building. So the proposed steel roof trellis will feature aluminum louvers and is approximately 18 feet in length and 27 feet in width. Its southernmost post is set back approximately 46 feet behind the front facade and 60 feet from the front property line. The roof of the trellis is approximately 6 feet above the parapet for an overall height of 9 feet. This matches the height of the garage trellis next door at 1336 North Hoyne, but features a more substantial setback. On the west side of the trellis, the applicant is proposing a composite screen that will extend 4 foot 2 inches above the existing parapet. On the east side will feature a laminated glass screen, which is approximately 2 foot 10 above the parapet. So here's a plan so you can kind of see it just a little bit better. Visible rooftop additions have been approved in Wicker Park before. Just last month, you may remember, the committee approved a new visible rooftop addition at 1328 North Wicker Park. And as I mentioned previously, next door at 1336 North Hoyne, the Permit Review Committee approved a garage with a visible roof trellis that extends similarly 6 feet above the parapet. In both cases, it was determined that the additions would not adversely impact the significant features of the property or district. So in order to decide if something is in fact minimally visible requires the applicant to provide physical mock-ups. So you can see here, there's 4 vantage points that we evaluated this from. Vantage point A, the trellis is visible, however, significantly set back from the front property line and sidewalk. Similarly, vantage point B shows the same thing, but you'll notice that it's also very similar in height to the existing stair enclosure. At vantage point C, the rooftop addition is visible. However, the trellis on the garage next door is in primary focus. And then for D, you know, the addition is largely screened by the adjacent property and vegetation. So based on the mock-up and previous approvals within the district, staff recommends that the proposed trellis will not have an adverse impact on the roof line of the building or overall district and may be approved. Staff further recommends that the steel, aluminum, and composite screen be finished in a dark, non-reflective color so as to match the color of the cornice and parapet. An approval letter from the Wicker Park Committee was included in your packets, and I believe the owner and architect both are here if you have any questions for them or me.
Thank you, Emily. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Emily at this moment? Make sure. Okay, no hands. Nope. All right. Can we hear from the applicants? I think the proper owner is here.
Hi, yes, that's me. Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
good afternoon. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, my name is Heather Eaton. I, along with my husband, are both the property owners and residents at 2118 West Evergreen Avenue. So thank you to Emily and thank you to the commissioners for hearing this permit proposal.
Thank you for being here. It's a very wonderful building that you're bringing for review. Commissioners, do you have any questions either for the property owner, the architect, or Joy or Emily at this moment? I don't see. Mrs. Eaton, do you agree with that? Do you have any comments about the staff recommendations? Are you in agreement with them?
Yes, that was always part of the plan to draw on the facade of the house. So it'll be finished in an aluminum matte black is the plan for the 4 structures. And then I believe the composite wall that was being referenced on the west side is black painted wood. So should also fit with the staff recommendation.
Great. It's really exciting to see a lot of rooftops being activated. I think Chicago's building stock is changing dramatically now that we're discovering there's a 5th facade, and many properties are requesting this. So it's very exciting to see, and also treat it in a very high quality and careful way to also match some of the aesthetics and character of the adjacent buildings. So very nice, very elegant. We appreciate always thoughtful design. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Any discussion points, items? All right, I don't see any hands. Or do I know? Okay, sorry, it's too many screens here. I hope now that we're going back in person, it will be easier just to track hands. Great. So if there are no other discussion items, I would like to call to
a motion for us to adopt the staff recommendations put forth
thank
in this
you.
proposal.
Thank you. Commissioner Hughes has made a motion. Can I ask for a second motion?
I'll second it, Commissioner Osmond.
Seconded. Thank you. See, I'm telling you that the physical hands are important. We won't have that problem next time. Commissioner Osmond has seconded the motion. I'm going to take a roll call on a vote on the motion. Commissioner Jajkovic.
Yes.
Commissioner Ponce.
Yes.
Myself, Commissioner Aguirre also approves. So the motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much to property owner, Ms. Eaton. Good luck. Very exciting. And to enjoy, hopefully you can enjoy more sunny days out there very soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck. All right, moving on to the last item of the agenda today, 1810 North Orleans in the Old Town Triangle District. Can I call on Joyce for a presentation, please?
Thank you, Chairwoman Aguirre. The property is a typical Chicago cottage with Italianate details that include a wood cornice and trim constructed in the 1870s. The facades are clad in wood siding and painted glazed brick at the base on the front facade and common brick on the side facades. In October 2020, the applicant contacted Historic Preservation staff for their proposal for exterior and interior renovations. They would like to preserve the building, but also make modifications to provide reasonable usable space within its very small structure by building a new mezzanine between the existing second floor and attic roof, and to provide on-site parking where none is currently provided. The house is currently located at the rear of the lot, which is located mid-block on Orleans Street. According to fire insurance maps, the 1886 Robinson's Atlas and the 1906 Sanborn map shows that the house was located at the front of the lot. The 1935 Sanborn map shows the house located at the rear of the lot, which indicates that sometime between 1906 and 1935, the house was moved from its historic location. Also in the 1935 Sanborn map, it shows a frame side bay on the south elevation, which was not documented in previous fire insurance maps, and indicates that this is not an original feature of the building. However, the period of significance for the Old Town Triangle District is between 1872 to 1930. It is not clear when the side bay was added, but these maps suggest that it may have been constructed prior to 1930, which would still be within the district's period of significance. On May 6, 2010, the commission adopted criteria to be used in evaluating whether proposed new dormers on front-facing gabled roof cottages in Old Town Triangle District will have an adverse effect on the district when such dormers should be visible from the public right away. Staff reviewed the proposal pursuant to this criteria to determine the potential visibility of the proposed dormers. In order to provide functional head height and space for a bedroom and bath on the second mezzanine floor, the applicants proposed to construct a new north and south dormers that are 14 foot 11 inches in length and set back 25 foot 6 inches from the front facade. Both dormers together will span 24 foot 4 inches, which is the current width of the house. The top of the dormers are located 1 foot below the ridgeline with a slope of 3 to 12. They are proposed to be clad with wood siding and asphalt shingles to match the main house. Staff recommends that the dormers meet the established dormer guidelines and that these dormers will be minimally visible, given the substantial setback on the existing roof and the location of the building at the rear of the lot. The slope of the side bay roof currently matches the slope of the main house roof. However, maintaining this roof slope would not provide code-required allowable ceiling heights for habitable spaces. The wood frame side bay is currently used as a stair enclosure that is approximately 6 foot by 10 foot in plan. The applicant had a structural engineer evaluate the condition of the existing stair enclosure, who determined that it is unstable and out of plumb by several inches, which would indicate inadequate foundations, if any, under the enclosure walls. The engineer recommends that the stair enclosure is structurally unsound and not suitable for use. The applicant is proposing to demolish the side bay and partially rebuild it. The first floor portion will not be rebuilt, and the space would instead be utilized to provide on-site tandem parking for 2 cars. Due to the placement of the building at the rear of the lot, there is no other space on the property to build a garage or parking pad. The second floor portion of the side bay will be rebuilt and will cantilever over the parking area in order to maintain square footage on the second mezzanine level. Staff feels that this is a unique situation. It would not create a precedence-setting circumstance, since the existing space currently does not provide code-required allowable ceiling heights, space to adequately lay out furniture, or parking on the property. Furthermore, the applicant is proposing to screen the parking area and the void of the first floor with an 8-foot-high solid wood fence and tall evergreens. The new slope will instead be modified to match the slope of the new dormers in order to provide adequate headroom. Staff recommends approval of the second floor side bay as proposed. Staff recommends that the permit drawing shall include scaled and dimension plans, elevations, and details, as well as samples of the proposed cladding materials, which will be compatible with that of the existing siding and roofing materials of the main house. The existing front porch is located on the east elevation facing Orleans Street, with the stairs running parallel to the front facade. The applicant is proposing to demolish the existing porch and replace it with with stairs that provide a front approach and that lead up to an 8'5" by 10'1" screen and covered porch. The proposed design is characteristic of porches on Chicago cottages. However, historically, porches did not function as strong vestibules, as most 19th century houses have entrance foyers which serve this function. Commission guidelines indicate that the front porches should not be enclosed. Staff recommends that the design of the new porch shall be revised to eliminate the proposed door and screen enclosure. The building currently does not have any skylights. One new skylight is proposed on the north side of the gable, and 2 skylights are proposed on the south side of the gable, shown on the roof plan in yellow. Additionally, 1 new skylight is proposed to be installed on the new roof of the north dormer. And staff recommends that the proposed skylights will not adversely impact significant historic characteristics of the property, and that the permit drawings for the skylights shall include dimensions, specifications, and installation details to verify that the projection of the skylights will be minimal, and that the frame color will match the color of the roof shingles in order to reduce visibility. So, in conclusion, staff recommends approval of the project with the conditions mentioned during the presentation and also summarized here on this slide. Both the aldermen and the community group have been made aware of the project. The Old Town Triangle Association has submitted a letter of support. This concludes my presentation. The architect and the property owners are here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Joyce at this moment? I don't see any hands. Okay, can we hear from the applicant? I think we have the project architect with us. Good afternoon. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, I'm Todd Nemec. I'm a principal with SMNGA Architects. We've been working with the Madonnases. They live next door currently, and they want to preserve this real special piece of Old Town. And it's a very modest property, and so we're trying to get what we can get out of it without impacting the historic nature of the structure. So we thank Joyce for her time and guidance when working with us over a period of time, the staff and commissioners for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Nemec. So what we're hearing, Joyce, is that there's going to be the main recommendation in this project is the design of the porch, correct?
Yeah, that's something that we want to have revised. Yeah, and just to eliminate the screened enclosure as well as that door at the top of the stair.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Joyce or for the project architect at this moment? I think we have also the owner here. Is there anything that the owner would like to contribute to this conversation?
Yes, we just want to thank everyone for allowing us to preserve this beautiful, unique house.
Yeah.
That's all we have to say.
Thank you. Should you just mind introducing yourself for the record?
I'm Anat Madanes, husband Amos Madanes. We've been here for 35 years, and we really love this neighborhood.
Thank you. So it sounds like we're going to see some adjustments in the design of the porch as of staff recommendations. Otherwise, your project is really carefully designed. So we really appreciate always thoughtful solutions to complex projects and geometry. So we think you've done, well, I think you have done a really good job on that. Commissioners, do you have any additional insights or comments for either the staff, the owners, or the project architects? I don't see any hands. So, all right, we're going to move forward with adopting the staff recommendations. If there's no further discussion, may I ask for a motion to adopt the staff recommendation? Thank you, Commissioner Jajkovic. Can I ask for a second motion?
Second, Commissioner Ponce.
Thank you, Commissioner Ponce has seconded the motion. I'm going to take a vote. So Commissioner Hughes.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Osmond.
Yes.
Thank you. And myself, Commissioner Aguirre, vote yes. So the motion carries unanimously. Good luck, everyone in this project, and we look forward to see this beautiful building being rehabbed and transformed. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
So there's no further, thank you. There's no further business today, Commissioners. I'd like to request a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner. As for a second motion.
Second, Commissioner Salinas.
Thank you, Commissioner Jajkovic. The motion carries unanimously, and this is the end of our meeting. Commissioners, thank you so much for your service. I look forward to seeing you all in person during our August meeting. It's going to be great to, conduct these meetings in person again in shared space. Thank you, everyone.
And now I'm excited to see you guys.
Great.
We're
Bye,
all
everybody.
excited.
Bye.
Thank you.